Chris Weier. Thank you very much for this awesome intro, and I'm happy to be here today and to see so many faces of which I know a lot. So it's kind of my home turf, because I lived here for 15 years before I moved to Copenhagen, which was a deliberate decision. And I will talk a bit about that during my talk today. So I wanted to start actually telling you about the fact that we have heard so much about uncertainty today, but now I'm the first one. This morning, having breakfast, I actually read an article about questioning stuff and uncertainty on Fast Company. So I thought that would be a good start into the day. And so I hope you're all very curious about this topic, about how we can handle this complex, ambiguous, uncertain, and volatile world out there. But I have good news, because I think most of you are in design, as we just heard. So we are actually the best people to tackle this challenge, because we are used to navigating in the unknown and to work with information, make sense of it. So, and everybody else, I can tell you, is also able to influence what's coming and how we handle this challenge. And I start with this smartphone zombie world. I don't know who can resonate with that, because it's a picture you can maybe see. It should be a concert or festival. And probably some of you recognize themselves here. I do, actually. That was me a couple of weeks ago. And sometimes I wonder, is this the world we live in, where we just pay attention to posting stuff, sharing stuff, not paying attention to the actual moment anymore, being in this digital world all the time? And you can take this a step further. This is a scene from Minority Report, actually, and well, it's not really, I think most of you know the movie. So this augmented world that could become the central platform of our lives, is this the way we are heading? And is this the world we want to live in? I think we don't ask enough questions. That's my theory. We should do more. We should really ask more questions. This is a quote from Warren Berger. I don't know who knows his books about asking questions. You should really get it if you haven't read it. It's a wonderful book. And especially since I moved to Denmark, I get the feeling that there is a big cultural difference in how we in Germany tackle this whole topic about questions and how Denmark does it. Why is that? I feel that in Denmark, people are much more questioning things, challenging the status quo, searching for new, innovative solutions, going new paths. And this might be rooted in the fact that children are brought up differently than in Germany. So this was also a part of the article that I read this morning, because we kind of unlearn how to ask questions. The moment we enter school, it's not cool to ask questions, right? I mean, not knowing stuff, you should not be, you don't want to be the dumb kid, the stupid one, asking questions. But in Denmark, kids are actually told to challenge their teachers. They are told to ask questions and to sometimes even doubt what their teachers say and to get into discussion. And even in a business context, saying, I don't know, can you help me out here, please, does not leave anybody uncomfortable. And asking questions and also giving room for asking questions, allowing people not knowing, is one of the top leadership skills these days. Creating that safe space where everybody is able to admit that they don't know something, that's a really valuable skill that we should all learn. And I don't want to accept myself from that, because I also sometimes feel that I haven't asked all the questions that I should have asked. I'm trying to get better at that. So are we asking the right questions? Or are we becoming trapped in this thing called technological determinism? put on us by Silicon Valley and Facebook and co. Meaning, are we controlled or steered even by technology? Does tech tell us what we like and what we don't like? What we believe in, what we buy, who we vote for? And I want to share this quote as a quote from Christina Melander, who is with the Danish Design Center, the oldest design company in Denmark, who is very influential, has always been in design and leading the country and working with all companies in Denmark to use design for strategic decisions. And she says, we have a shared responsibility that it is us, the people, who control the technology and not the other way around. And then another question that comes up, do we design for the here and now always, or do we actually also think about what kind of implications things have that we design today on our future lives, on us as a society, as people, as a planet? And how long do you have to design a product these days? Don't you feel that sometimes it's a prototype that goes live and is put on to people to use? Have you really thought about everything? This is an example from Design.it, one of the big design firms in the world. And they said that in 2001, they created this old classic telephone, which probably most of you have never used in their lives. But they had 3 years for this. 10 years later, they designed a mobile phone for Samsung, and they got 2 months to get it done. Anybody recognizes their own work situation here? So, and this is my favorite example, and I hope nobody is here from any micromobility company today. But e-scooters. I mean, I still lived in Hamburg when they came to life, so to say, when everybody was talking about micromobility, this huge new trend. We should jump on an e-scooter to go the last couple of 100 meters from the bus station to our home. And of course, yes, it was exciting. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love technology. I've always loved technology. That was what actually always drove me. I'm an engineer. I never worked in that business. This was my deliberate choice to go into IT because I love technology. I love digital. And of course, I was also thrilled by that. I tried it out, of course. I did. But very soon I wondered, is that the right direction we are heading here? People that are too fat anyway and don't exercise enough and don't walk enough, to bring them on an e-scooter to move even less. And then it got worse. There was a whole discussion about that. I know, I'm not the only one who thought about this, but what's going to happen with these things after they've been worn out? And Uber, this was just 6 months. And I mean, you know how people handle these things. I mean, not very well, obviously. And also batteries don't last so long. And so what's happening with all that electro garbage? And still, it hasn't changed so much after all these years, because this is news from this year, a couple of weeks ago. Bolt, they ceased their services in the US in 5 cities. And city governments were left with the question, what are we going to do with all these bikes? Because nobody was answering the phone anymore at Bolt and taking the bikes back. Don't know what happened. So, talking about the uncertain future, the uncertain world, I think we should think more about what kind of future do we actually want to live in? Because the good thing is, we can influence it, everybody of us. There is not one future. I've worked a lot in futures research and futures design in the past years, and it's called futures design for a reason. Because there is no glass ball that we look into and it just says, oh, this is the future. No, we can all influence that. That's the good thing. And this is one approach how to build a better future. It started in 2017 at Tech Festival, a really, really wonderful conference in Copenhagen that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. And 5,000 decision leaders, designers, and people in the industry, tech leaders, signed this so-called Letter of Copenhagen. And every year after, and there was a follow-up on that. Because they said, we want to call for this new renaissance in the future design of technology to put humanity first. And I want to quote this first paragraph. We live in a world where technology is consuming society, ethics, and our coexistence. It's time to take responsibility for the world we are creating and time to put humans before business. Time to replace the empty rhetoric of building a better world with a commitment to real action. Because we don't have to wait for Meta or Microsoft to build a metaverse for us that we might be afraid of. We don't want this, maybe. I don't know how you think about it. There might be metaverses that could be a good thing, but there might also be visions of that we don't like. And we hear a lot about this these days. Lots of people all of a sudden are metaverse experts and build something that I'm sometimes not so sure if there shouldn't be more focus put on ethics, because we failed with Facebook and all that. We should not repeat history here. That's why there are tools out there, and you can all use them to make better decisions for the future, ethical decisions. Put products out in the world that really need it and that do something good. And this tool is called the Digital Ethics Compass. It's on Danish Design Center's website. You can download it for free, you can use it. They have created lots of wonderful exercises around it. There is one that's called 5 questions from the ethics professor. So he's asking you a lot of questions about your solution. Then there is one that's called the provocatype, where you turn your solution into something totally unethical, which is super fun, but also eye-opening. So you should just go there and try it next week, if you like. And we should ask the question, should we do something only because we can? Like because there is tech out there that could do this? Or could we also do something better with it? And I want to quickly go through the 5 principles that this compass comes with. The first one is avoid manipulating. Give people the choice to know what choices they are taking and what decisions they are taking and what's the implication. Not like the Google algorithms, for example, where people are trapped and don't know why they always see fake news. And I know people like that, and they have no idea, and you can't get hold of them anymore because they don't understand what's happened to their YouTube and their Google. Make tech understandable. Don't leave people wondering, why has something happened here? And avoid creating inequality, because we have got enough of that anyway in our world, so we shouldn't put it into our products. Like, for example, when we use data and AI, we should be really aware of that. But I think most of you are aware of that anyway. But it's good to always keep in mind. And give users control. This morning I read that there's a new law coming in the US that should keep kids from being exploited by digital apps and stuff. So that, for example, autoplay is being prohibited for several apps, because then you can make sure that the kids take the choice to push the play button and not being offended by something that they don't even want to see. And put the human at the center. And I would even take it a bit further. We should even look beyond the human to our society and to our planet. And I already mentioned Denmark and the Nordics. And this is a quote from a book called Nordic Leadership. It's from Christian, who is the head of Henley Business School in Denmark. And he says that there is a clear popularity and focus. People are looking at the Nordics because obviously the Nordic leaders, they do something better than in other countries in the world to deal with this uncertain world. And I think there is 3 things that make the change, at least. There's more, but I just want to give you these 3 hints. So the first one is collaborating and cooperating, working together instead of competing with each other. And this was one thing that really, really struck me when I came to Copenhagen, when I did business there the first time 8 years ago. People really share, and they are super open. Nobody thinks like in Germany, no, that's mine, and oh no, if you know what I'm doing, then you can steal it from me. No. And this makes a huge, huge difference, really. And I can give you a wonderful example for that. I see somebody laughing because we talked about it yesterday. So I don't know who knows that Copenhagen is actually Europe's food city, even maybe one of the most famous or best food cities in the whole world, because we have 25 Michelin stars distributed on 15 restaurants, I think, if I get it right. 3 of the 50 best restaurants in the world, and 2 3-star restaurants, which is Geranium and Noma. Noma being the best restaurant of the world for so many years, and even if after they relaunched. And actually 2004, so people also, I wondered, why is Copenhagen such a food city? What's the root of that? Why are restaurants all doing this wonderful Nordic cuisine? Why is every new restaurant that opens a success? People come from all over the world to experience that. In 2004, René Redzepi and Klaus Weier, who actually founded Noma, they called all Nordic chefs and people in the food industry from all Nordic countries to Copenhagen to create this manifesto. They are all competitors, competing for the same clients, of course, sometimes in the same city, even worse. And still they said, no, we want to commit to putting our focus on clarity, pureness, and that's what you see when you get a Nordic cuisine dish. It's very pure. It's seasoned, so they mostly take local ingredients, even sometimes harvested in their own gardens. It's a lot of focus on sustainability and ethics, so where this meat and the fish come from, how is it sourced, and quality. And this manifesto actually sealed Denmark becoming a forerunner in gastronomy. And it was all competitors, and they just agreed on that, and they've stick to it until today. And this has been supported by the governments as well, with funds and stuff. And as I mentioned, sharing knowledge and asking for opinions, that's also something that is expected. So even in a job situation, people that don't ask questions, they are weird. Why doesn't she ask a question? She should be. Because then you seem not intelligent enough if you don't have a question. That's just not possible. And creating that safe space where you can ask questions and can share information, that's super important. Because how would you take a decision without having all the information you need? And last but not least, future scenarios. Building them, experiencing them, seeing which kind of future do you prefer and which one would you not like to come to truth. And this is an example from the Danish Design Center as well. They're doing lots of good stuff, as you can see. This is the future of health. They created 4 scenarios called Boxing Future Health. And together with people in health, they built these scenarios in co-creation. And as you can see, you can actually experience them. So you can walk into rooms, you get audio files, sounds, and very immersive experience. And then you also do some workshops and work on with what you experienced. And the interesting thing is, there are people that come out of one scenario and say, oh my God, if this is my future, I don't want to live in that. And you can be sure that this person will do everything in her power to prevent this future from happening. And that's a good thing. Putting ourselves out there in, like, you know, exploring these different things is super important. And since we are here at New Work Harvard today, I have an example that most of you know. The experience vision. That's actually like, it's one of these things. It's like putting ourselves out there and exploring our future. So what is the experience you, at Xing, want to give your future users? How would you like to improve their lives? What is this goal you want to work towards together as a company, as a team? So we built these audio files where these users from the future tell us their story, how Xing improved their lives, what they did for them. And then we added a lot of wonderful things, the vision box where you could really explore the future trends, and you can work with these experience stories to make better decisions for everybody, no matter in what team you work and which department, but to get that feeling of the future you want to create. And I want to wrap this up by asking you to keep challenging the status quo, asking why more often, how else, and expand your thinking. Expand it beyond the user. Think about the long-term effects of the decisions you make, the products you build. Work together and share information. Trust people. Don't always be suspicious. Discuss possible solutions and create this safe space that makes it possible to ask questions. And even expand your thinking beyond the human being, our society, our planet. Because only then we can develop tomorrow's truly innovative ideas and create this better world. Thank you.